This thing is always so dusty, man. Okay, so, hey guys, it's Jess. I'm just gonna kind of jump right into what I wanted to do, which is I really wanted to do a About Me tag, which gives me a little bit of cringe just because it reminds me of my MySpace days, which were in itself very cringy. Yeah, very cringy. But if you haven't had a chance to check out my other vlog, then you wouldn't know this about me, but I have this incessant kind of need, this core value of just always being honest. I think I probably mentioned it for a split second in one of my videos that I previously posted about how I don't script things because I like to be genuine. I also like to be upfront about certain aspects of myself. And it all kind of stems back, and I'm kind of losing my breath a little bit because when I get really nervous it gets hard to breathe. But it all stems back to the fact that when I was 16 or 17 years old, I had really bad depression, and I struggled with a lot of dark stuff, right? I'm very open about those things. It's part of the reason why I'm going into social work, why I'm working and want to work in certain parts of the mental health field. But during this point of my life, you know, I became a very dishonest version of myself, a very secretive version of myself. And it was because, not that I was trying to distance myself or purposely lie or anything like that, but it's just because when you're dealing with mental health, there's a lot of shame that comes with it. And that shame makes you secretive. It makes you not want to talk about your issues because you don't want to plague other people with them. You don't want to confront them because they feel too hard at the moment, right? And you become a more guarded version of who you are. And when I started getting better, when I started, you know, going to therapy and doing the things that really brought me out of that, it became like a core value of mine to always be upfront with who I am in the moment and to be honest with how I feel and what my struggles are, because I never wanted to be that guarded version of myself ever again. And I've brought that core value into my vlog channel, and I want to bring it into this channel with you guys. I never want to be a separate version of myself on here than who I am in real life. So I thought, what better way so lame, but what better way to kind of give you an idea of who I am than to answer some questions. If you want to do this and you are subscribed to me, please leave like a link to your own video, or just comment, say, hey, I did it too, and I'll check yours out because I really want to learn more about you guys. Like, I remember your faces and your icons and your names and who comments and all that stuff, and I just want to, it would be nice to, you know, attach some ideas to those faces and those icons and those names. And if you don't want to make a video, you don't have to do anything at all, obviously. But if you want to participate in some way, you can always leave like maybe 5 things about you in the comments below, and I can just read a little bit about you guys for a change. But yeah, fair warning, if it sounds like I'm taking a lot of deep breaths, it's because I'm really nervous, because even though I try to be upfront and honest, like I was saying before, I still really do hate talking about myself. But I want you guys to know me, and I want to know you. So I'm just going to jump right into it. My favorite subject was creative writing in high school, and I think it's part of what made me who I am today. If you don't know, I love writing. I write poetry, I write music, I play music, and I write books. And part of my dream is to be a published author. So you might actually see me kind of slip some stuff in the future into this channel about my books being published, and if you want to buy them, checking them out, because I plan on self-publishing. I have a few that I'm trying to finish up. But my favorite subject in high school was creative writing, and it all stems back to the fact that I had this one amazing creative writing teacher in freshman year. And I remember going into freshman year, and I was dealing with depression and stuff, and part of depression and everything is not wanting to do anything, right? You have a total lack of motivation, and it totally follows you into the school aspects too. And she said, hey guys, who wants to write a book in the back of the class? You don't have to do any work or any testing. All you have to do is turn in a chapter a week. And I was like, that sounds like a plan. So I went into it with the intention of not having to do anything, to just crank out shitty chapters, and that would be that. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with storytelling. I fell in love with people. I fell in love with describing people. And it's probably why I'm such a deep thinker. It's probably why I put so much meaning behind so many what would be classified as small things. But yeah, it's really the class that got me into writing, got me into reading, and made me kind of who I am. I loved it so much, and so did this one other girl, that we actually convinced the teacher to go to the principal and create a creative writing honors class so we could take it again. And I think I took it for 3 years. We ended up pulling it out somehow for 3 years of my high school experience. So it was my favorite subject in high school. I'm a cheesy person, but if you ask anybody, they'll tell you that I have a whole spiel on cheesiness. To me, I feel like cheesiness is just another word for honesty. That a lot of what we do nowadays or want to do is dignified as cheesy because we're just not used to maybe people putting their words or their thoughts into actions anymore. So, you know, like a bouquet of roses is cheesy, but it's not. It's sweet. It's someone caring for you, right? So I'm a cheesy person because I like to put a lot of meaning into everything I do. So 3 cheesy things about me. The first one, I don't know if you could dignify it as cheesy, but it just popped into my head, is I have a bad habit of putting my hair behind my ears. And it's because when I was in middle school, I was bullied pretty bad. And one person liked to particularly point out my big ears. And I made the distinctive decision to show my ears always because I didn't want to hide myself at this time. I wanted to confront it full force. So I would show up every day with my hair tucked behind my ears, and it's become a bad habit of mine, but I secretively kind of love it because it reminds me of that moment and a time I really took a stand for myself. The second cheesy thing that I do is I saw a movie called, I think, Raise Your Voice or something with Hilary Duff back in the day when I was like a young kid, and I used to be in love with her, and she did this thing in the movie where she flipped over a penny that was on tails so it would be face up so someone else could have good luck, right? And I started doing it, and I've been doing it ever since, probably for a decade now. I totally forgot that it came from that movie until someone reminded me recently. But even though I don't really know if I believe in luck, I kind of like the idea of somebody else who believes in luck finding a penny heads up and maybe thinking that they'll have a better day because of it. So I kind of still do that. And then the third cheesy thing about me that I can think of, I can literally spit these off the top of my head because I do so much quote-unquote cheesy stuff. But like I said, when I was struggling with depression and I started going to therapy and stuff, my therapist said something to me that stuck with me. And some call it mindfulness, but it's this idea of being aware of a situation. And she asked me at the end of our session, when's the last time you stopped to look around, to be aware of your moment, to appreciate something in the midst of moving through it? And I was just kind of taken aback because it had been a very long time. And I get emotional talking about it, I'm sorry. But I went home that night and I was like, I got out of my car and I used to do like later therapy sessions. And it was nighttime outside. And I was like, okay, be aware, be aware. And it just dawned on me in that moment that I hadn't looked at the stars in probably years. That it had been a long time since I simply looked up. And so because of that moment, which was followed with me looking up and kind of seeing a beautiful night sky, I've made a habit of every time I'm outside at night to take a second to look up at the stars, even if there's nothing there, to just kind of be aware of the moment for a second. So that would be the third cheesy thing about me. Yeah, I'm a very cheesy person. I like cheese too. So I'm one of those people, if you haven't noticed from my reactions, that I love when music or sound is paired with imagery. So I can tell you about my favorite songs, but I couldn't tell you about them unless I'm telling you about the moments that go with them. Like M83's Wait is probably my favorite song for riding my bike at 2 a.m. So there's a lot of different songs for a lot of different moments, but I call myself a soundtrack kid because I listen and grab a lot of inspiration from music that I find in shows and movies, because the idea of imagery and sound going together is like my favorite thing in the entire universe. So no favorite songs, but definitely favorite songs for favorite moments. I'd have to say the classic good old Harry Potter series. It's the first book that got me into writing. It's the first book that made me fall in love with multiple things at once. For a lot of books that I read, or a lot of movies or TV shows that I watch, there's certain reasons I watch them or read them or I love them, right? Sometimes I watch television shows just for characters. I don't really like the storyline, but I love the characters and how they're written. But Harry Potter was the first book and book series that made me fall in love with so many things at once. How the characters were written, what the storyline was, how the outsiders were portrayed, the conflict, the climax, the resolution, all these different things about this book were things that I love. So that's probably why it's one of my favorite books of all time. And also there's a nostalgia attached to it. All my friends are into it, so there's a great friendship kind of relation to it. And it's also something that I can imagine sharing with my kids in the future. So definitely am a Harry Potter girl. My favorite trip ever was going to New York. I like being around people. I'm a people person. That makes me kind of a city person, even though I kind of like to be somewhere in the middle. But I loved going to New York. I got to go with two of my best friends. I got to see so many things I had been imagining since I was a kid. I got to see so much art, so much culture, so many different types of people. It was so beautiful. There was just so much diversity. There was so much beauty. I loved it so much. New York, I wish it wasn't so expensive to live there, because I might not have been staying here had it been a little cheaper to move to New York, but I loved New York. Absolutely my favorite trip ever. Like 2 seconds ago? Does that count? Like yesterday? Like 5 minutes ago? Always? All the time? Every second? Every moment? When do I not cry is the better question. Honestly, I cry a lot. I cry at everything. I get it from my mom. My mom cries at everything. She cries at commercials. You know, that gum commercial where the dad folds up the paper into little, like doves or something, and then they all fall out of the car, and it's a beautiful moment. Like, just commercials make me cry. My mom cried at Shrek. I cried at Shrek, so can't blame her for that one. I cry at everything. I'm a crier. Weirdly enough, I don't cry at too many life situations. That's not true. I don't cry too much around people, but I cry all the time on my own. I cry a lot. I'm a crier. Did I say that? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna edit this out, Jesus Christ. I love The Green Mile. I love Dead Poet Society. I tell everybody, actually, when I do get asked this question, I do tell everybody that my favorite movie of all time is Short Term 12. If you've never seen Short Term 12, it was kind of like the movie I watched that solidified that I wanted to take my passions towards social work. So I suggest, if you've never watched Short Term 12, that you should watch Short Term 12. How many times can I say Short Term 12 before you watch Short Term 12? You should watch Short Term 12. It's really good. It's kind of a tongue twister, but watch Short Term 12. It's great. I loved Buffy when I was growing up. I loved Charmed when I was growing up. I love The X-Files. I love Once Upon a Time, which I didn't get this tattoo for Once Upon a Time, but I happened to fall in love with the TV show after I got this tattoo, so it's kind of a win-win. Honestly, like I said, Stranger Things is probably my favorite television show of all time. Yeah, those are some of my favorite TV shows. I also really liked The Office, and I really liked Parks and Recreation. I also like Orange is the New Black. I also like American Horror Story. Yeah, those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Because I talked about it for a brief second in the beginning, and I kind of diverted from it, because it's a tendency to do that. And I will tell you a little bit about it, because it's part of me. And it's a part that I'm passionate about, because it is a part that helped me learn more about myself and helped me grow, and now is hopefully going to help me guide other people into growing and getting out of that kind of crappy place themselves. Depression is shitty. Depression was hard. I was 16, 17 years old. I should have been having the time of my life, but I was kind of in a weird bubble of lack of motivation and sadness. And it was really just kind of taking the initiative to want to feel better, and to know that I was deserving of feeling better, to pull myself out of that. And then obviously finding the proper resources and having the right people around me to support me in doing so. What you should do if you're dealing with those things, I would suggest, is the first thing is to just talk to anybody. because once you hear from another person that you deserve and you should go find alternative sources, you're more likely to do so. So talk to another person. And then find a person to talk to that can actually help you find those resources. There's always somebody, a guidance counselor. Most colleges offer free counseling or free help services. Talk to those. Even if you're not at a certain college, a lot of the times there are colleges that work with the high schools or work with the community colleges next door. Talk to them. Look online. There's a lot of group therapies that are very cheap that you can go to and surround yourself with people dealing with the same thing, but for way less of the price than you will pay for therapy. A lot of places like Publix and CVS have programs where you can get medication extremely cheap, or the generic versions of them extremely cheap if you decide to go through the psychiatry route, and if you're dealing more with chemical imbalance than you are with situational things. There's always somebody out there to help. There's always hotlines. There's always people that are willing to listen to you. Don't be afraid to ask for those things. Don't be afraid to search for those things. You're deserving of them, and you matter enough to feel better.